Hello, and wanted to give you all a little heads up, a little run through on this chapter, and I'll do this for each subsequent chapter to make things run easier for you. So looking at this, we're beginning to learn how to create basic objects and how to work with dynamic input. The objectives are shown to you here that you're going to be learning, so we're taking little baby steps along the way, learning grid and snap, how to work initially with object snaps, basic way, and how to trim, how to create various polygons, how to create circles using tangent, tangent, radius, and how to create tangent lines to two circles. As you've noticed in the book, there is at the beginning of each chapter a layout of what skills in that chapter are addressed that are associated with the AutoCAD Certified Associate Examination. So you can see the various topics or objectives that you're going to be learning in this particular tutorial. You begin by starting up your AutoCAD. You're going to look at the user coordinate system. It's discussed a little bit later in the chapter. We'll begin looking at dynamic input options, the basic geometric construction, editing tools, and but first we'll look at dynamic input options, which are very, very important to know how to manage your units, grid, snap, mode, and various intervals, and the O-snap option. And we'll also do a little basic trimming, which is you'll discover very useful. Your dynamic input that you see in AutoCAD is this little flags, little boxes in entry options that pop up after you've selected a draw command or even when you're doing some editing. You turn it on by clicking in your status bar, the little symbol that kind of looks like one of these. Okay, the dynamic input, or you can just press F12 on your keyboard. You begin by practicing using it, drawing with the line command. Now, you may already have started doing this, so I realize that, even noticing it perhaps in the previous chapter tutorials. So you practice using it. Be sure and step through each one of these as it allows you to practice with doing just standard points, X and Y points, or by entering a distance and an angle. The rocker arm design is what we begin doing as a tutorial. As described in your instructions, after you finish this, you will name your tutorial rocker arm, just like you see here, dash, and then your initials. If it were me, I would have SRB, and save it under that name. Okay, now it recommends that before you begin that you try to make a freehand sketch showing the steps that can be used to create the design. Be aware there are many different approaches to accomplishing the same task. You'll begin learning this as you go through this whole course, that as I tell students, there's more than one way to skin the cat in AutoCAD, or skin the CAD. So activate your startup option. This is very important that you do. So you'll begin with just a basic drawing screen, and then you'll type at the keyboard the word start up and enter a 1. So if you enter 1, that will then make this dialog box show up, and that gives you some very quick starts to the 4 operations that we do basic operations that we do in AutoCAD. Opening a drawing, starting up a generic vanilla from scratch, using an existing template, and to a lesser extent using this wizard that helps us create a particular type of drawing and a particular size of drawing. Be sure and pay attention to this, that you set up the proper units. The units in AutoCAD are important. Decimal, if you've started up using an imperial or start up using a metric, the basic choice that most people use is the decimal. And you'll set it to, now in this case it's in millimeters. We've started up a drawing that's metric. And your precision, you need to set that to 2 places. Now it says no digits, but I would set it to 1 or 2 places. Okay, at least in metric, 1 place. And then your angle measurement, you need to always set that to at least 1 place decimal. Work through your grid and snap intervals. Your drawing setup area is very, very important. Follow this to the letter. Follow this very closely. This creates the area that helps you display the grid. It also creates a space that will contain your project. And it's kind of like a sheet of paper over in the model space area. Let me go back to this page here. You'll see drafting settings. And what I recommend is down here where it says display grid beyond limits. I would uncheck that so that your grid will appear just inside your drawing area setup. Now, in the world coordinate system, as it states here, the design software is more and more powerful. It'll only do what it tells us, what we tell it to do. And as it says here, using a geometric modeler, we have to have a good understanding of what inherent limitations there are. Okay, so in most basic modelers, objects are located and defined in what is usually called the world space or global space. This is a fixed area that you cannot change. It's the measuring system area, if you want to think of it that way. It's how we specify our object. It's how we tell it what size it is. So the world space is usually a 3D Cartesian coordinate system. And in AutoCAD, that's exactly what it is. So in AutoCAD, we use a user coordinate system when necessary. You'll learn that a little bit later on. So the default user coordinate system is the world coordinate system. That's the little XY icon that you see on your page when you first start up. Now your display will look a little different when you start up AutoCAD using the specifications I've asked you to use over here to uncheck display grid beyond limits. So your grid will be attached to the XY00 location and not spread out past it. You begin then by creating and practicing making circles as part of the tutorial, and metric circle. And you'll create these 3 circles and you'll follow these specifications. You're going to use absolute coordinates to locate the centers of these 2 circles. The big circle is going to be right on the center. Your Object Snap toolbar, which you can access by turning on under Tools, and then Toolbars, and then AutoCAD, and then look down the list and find Object Snap. So you'd want this turned on and anchored to the top of your screen or somewhere that's convenient. Therefore, you can pick different geometry snaps, which we'll be using endpoint primarily. uh, to be able to attach, or to center, or to the quadrant, or to tangency. So lots of different object snaps or geometric snapping that we can do. You then begin creating lines attached to your circles using the snap to tangent. You work through that and create the following shapes. Lines connected to the large circles. We then have to create a special type of circle that's tangent to two other circles, and we provide a radius. When you get finished, it looks like this on this part of the construction. We then use the trim command and trim away the excess part of the circle we don't need, and when we're finished, it'll look like this. We then create a hexagon in the middle of our shape, right at 0, 0. Follow these steps completely doing that. You will then work through creating a circle. You will practice measuring distances. So be sure and step through this. It's a very, very handy calculator, very powerful calculator that's on board with AutoCAD. You'll measure angles, and you'll say, well, what in the world do I do with that measurement? Well, I'm sorry, it's just to get used to using the calculator to get different measurements. So you really don't use the measurement beyond that. You'll then save the CAD file, and when you save the CAD file, you'll save it as rocker arm dash and then your initials. You'll type that in right here. Be sure you select your projects folder, and then I've asked you to create one called tutorials and place it inside of there. Do the review questions as I requested, and put those in Word. You'll need to do some perhaps some copying and pasting. Probably not in this one, but in the future you'll need to do some copying and pasting. This will start showing up in a couple of chapters. Probably about chapter 4, I'll begin posting these, and you can do these all online. But for now, I need you to answer these and then submit them to me in a Word document by email. Watch the exercise video for the adjustable support. The professor on the video disc runs through exercise 1. There are some things you got to watch out for in creating this. I usually let students struggle with this. So after the majority of the class has submitted this, then I will post a video describing how to construct this. But I want you to experiment and try your best to solve this on your own. It will require the use of some additional tools that have not been covered. Okay, so do all 5 of the drawings and submit those to me. Be sure and email me your questions about any of the projects, and if you need help with any of the exercises, let me know. I can send you a description personally via email answering your question, a little video description, a screen capture description using AutoCAD. So let me know if you have any difficulty, and I'll be glad to assist you.